Hello, everyone. This is Kim C. Lee. I am a children's book author, and today on this edition of Let's Talk About, we will be chatting with Haelee Moone, teen entrepreneur, author, and mentor. I'm so excited to have her. I do want to remind you guys that I have a book releasing. It's coming out on the 25th with my co-author, Dr. Troy Body. So if you haven't already checked it out, please do so. You can grab a copy through the pre-sale through my website at kimclee.com. Just navigate on over to the books, and then underneath there will be a page specifically for A Proud History for Alex, which is the name of the new book. There's also a link on my homepage. So please check it out. Please share. And please let me know what you think about it once you grab it. We're also going to have a book launch, in-person book launch on June 29th at the Sandy Springs Slave Museum and African Art Gallery. If you are in the DMV area, please come out and support. All right, so I'm going to grab Haelee and bring her on in. Give me a moment. And because of technical difficulties, we may have actually lost her. So let's give her a moment to join. We always have those type of difficulties, so that we're nothing new here, especially when it comes to Instagram. We're always, something's always popping up, and it's crazy. We get kicked out, or we may get hiccups where the wrong person is being added, but it's totally okay. We can wait it out, and I'm pretty sure she will be rejoining and revisiting us. While we are waiting for her, what I can tell you is that I've been taking some time to just relax and hang out. I think everyone is due for a moment to just chill at some points. I think it's important to get that rest so you can relax and really recenter yourself. So I've been taking some time to do that. So you haven't seen as much of me so much. Oh, I just got word here that, yep, she's having some technical difficulties, and she is downloading another app so she can join it. So if you guys can just bear with me, she will be here soon. Give me a moment. I'm going to be doing some typing. This is live. I'm going to make sure that I do not disconnect, because we always have something funky happen when we disconnect. Let me just see. What I would encourage you to do also while we're waiting is, if you have questions of any type for me or for Haelee, you can add those questions and we will grab them. We have watchers, I guess, in a sense, making sure that we can see your questions when they pop up. And we're also streaming, in addition to Instagram, we're streaming on YouTube, and we're also streaming on Facebook. So if you prefer any of those mediums, you can pop over to those applications and watch as well. It'll be very interesting to see how they turn out. I think it should be great either way. It looks like she is coming back, which is fantastic. Again, technical difficulties happen, but we have a way of just waiting out the storm and making sure we can get back to it. So let's see if she is ready to go. I can see you behind the scenes. Haelee, give me a thumbs up if you are ready to go. All right, let's go ahead and bring her on in. All right, there you are.
Hello.
Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, definitely. I know when I was posting this, I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I swear you're my lit internet niece. I feel like I've been watching you grow up.
Yeah.
Online, and it's so funny because the pandemic, a lot of us still haven't met in person. But I see you, and it's like I know you, So
Right.
I'm happy to have you here. Fantastic. Happy for everyone else to hear from your perspective, especially at a young age, about how you got to where you were, and what you're doing. So let's kick it off formally. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience?
All right. So, hello, everyone. My name is Haelee Moone, and I am the CEO of the Rules of a Big Boss LLC. And we are actually based in Knightdale, North Carolina, so like the Knightdale, Raleigh area. And basically, what my business does is we focus on helping people achieve what they feel is their best life. And we kind of tend to help mold them into more so ways that are going to be more conducive to what they want to do with their lives, such as, different micro habits, or maybe it's affirmations, maybe it's mentorship, which we will be talking about. So we do, we are a jack of many trades, but all of it is centered around helping people and making sure that people are able to live the lives that they desire and that they feel like they deserve.
So I'm very impressed with you because public speaking is very difficult. I hate public speaking, whether
Mm-hmm.
people believe it or not. I managed to get through it, and at times I shine, but I'm always like sweating behind the scenes. But
Mm-hmm.
you delivered even your introduction so seamlessly. You knew exactly
Thank
what you
you.
were talking about without hesitance. So I applaud you for that. Um, so after now you've told us what your company does, what you do.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about the inspiration for your company and all these things that fall underneath the umbrella of your organization.
So basically, my inspiration is, like, I tell this story like to everyone who asks me. So basically, to make a long story short, because it is a pretty long story of how I got here, but to make a long story kind of shorter, is basically there was this one teacher, and it was all inspired by this teacher. I feel like if it wasn't for this teacher, I may or may not be where I am today. Or rather, maybe I would be where I am today, but just not as far, because I probably would just now be starting it. So basically, I was in the fourth grade. So I was in the fourth grade, and one day I was one of those kids. Like, I was always acting up. I was always like, I always had something going on with another kid. Like, I was always fighting with another kid, arguing with another kid, and so was the entire class. Like, we were that class who would always be sat inside at recess instead of outside playing with everyone else. We had to sit inside and listen to her talk. So basically, she would give us a talk saying, "Y'all act like y'all are so big and bad, but I'm telling you, there's someone that's more gangster than you. There's someone who's crazier than you, and you keep going down the path that you're going down, and you're going to end up one or two places in jail or 6 feet under." And I was like, oh, well, that's a little bit harsh to tell a bunch of fourth graders, but I mean, I guess it's real. And I was like, oh, okay. And that already had me thinking. But then she had said something. This was like the biggest inspiration. She has said, in specific, she said, because she had a daughter who was a year younger than us, so she was in the third grade. And she was telling us about her third grade daughter's best friend, and how she wrote a book, she wrote a children's book,
Mhm.
and she was traveling to different places like Jamaica, Europe, etc. And she was traveling to all these different places to do book signings, to do interviews and different things like that. And I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm over here fighting with this one dude in class, and she's over here traveling to Jamaica. And I'm like, oh, how old is she? And so, how old are you in the fourth grade? Like 9, 10, maybe 10. I
No,
think
maybe
10.
you're a little younger. Uh,
I believe
well,
it's 10.
fifth grade is 10, right? So 8, yeah, maybe 8 or 9,
No,
maybe 8,
that's
7, 7.
no, in the fourth grade. In the fourth
Oh, in
grade,
the
I
fourth
believe.
grade. Oh, so my friend, my oh, 10, 10,
Yeah,
9,
10. Yeah,
9 or
10.
10. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm 10 years old, and there's this girl who's 9 or 8, however old she was, and she's writing books and traveling. She's not even in double digits yet. And I'm like, I've been in double digits for how long? And she's how old? And I was like, oh, okay. So that had already planted the seed, like, oh, I want to do something bigger with my life than sit up here and start fights all the time. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. So fast forward to the sixth grade. I realized that I had a lot of insecurities. I honestly have, it's the reason why I even acknowledged that was because I used to be a bully. I'm not even gonna lie. I used to be really bad one too. Like, it wasn't like physical, like I wouldn't put my hands on someone, but best believe my words were gonna be the sharpest thing that I could ever bring.
Mhm.
And that was the worst thing that I could ever bring to school. And that's why I say, like, my words were worse than a knife. I could have brought a weapon to school, but my words would have been worse because I knew exactly how to pick at someone. And I knew just what to pick at in order to break them apart so bad. And then I would be like, well, why are you breaking apart? So then I would make it seem like it's their fault. And I was one of those people. Like, I was really good at, manipulating to make myself seem like I was in the right. And whenever I would get caught about it by a teacher, I would always victimize myself. So I was one of those people. And it took for me to do the same thing to my best friend at the time. And I was doing the same thing to her. And then one day she just stopped talking to me. And I was like, oh, wait, hold on. I'm like, this is new. I've never had somebody just not talk to me. I was like, what does this mean? And then eventually she talked to me like 2 weeks later, and she had told me, well, because you're a bully. And I'm like, what do you mean, me? Bully? I was like, no, because I honestly didn't think that I was.
She put a name to it where before you
Correct.
weren't.
And I wasn't even thinking about it. I was like, a bully? How? And she explained it. She said, Haelee, anytime someone does something that you don't like, you find something to pick at, and you'll keep picking at it, you'll keep picking at it until eventually they break down, and you'll make yourself seem like you're the victim. And I'm like, no. And then she gave me multiple instances. She actually gave me the dates, and I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, think about how many times you've been sent to the office for bullying or something like that. And I'm like, okay, valid point, valid point. And when she kind of read me for filth, and then she just stopped talking to me after that. Like, after she read me on the instances, she didn't even listen to any of my responses. She just blocked me right then and there. And I was like, oh. And so I was shocked because that didn't register to me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna text my other friends, and I'm gonna see if they see the same thing she sees, because I'm like, there's no way. So I texted my other best friend at the time. Me and her are still close, but she had told me, Haelee, yes, like, you're bad. And I'm like, really? And
so this process, so you had a revelation because someone who was a friend of yours had the courage to tell you, they were honest with you, and they told you what they thought of you, and then you turned that into something better. So I think that, and I interrupted you because we have a lot to get to, but I want to make sure that we call this out because you were standing on the side of something negative, and because you had the blessing of someone who really cared for you and thought it was important for you to know the truth. They actually told you that truth versus just disappearing. So I think that is a blessing for you to be able to hear that from someone and then turn it into something positive. So the big boss, where did you get that from? Rules of a big boss.
So the rules of that part, there's this one book called by Amber Rose. It was called How to Be a Bad Bitch. I always recommend that book to people. Like, that's like the first book that I ever started reading on self-growth. And each of her chapters was a different rule. And it wasn't in her title, the rules of, it was actually in the chapters. And I was like, I wonder how it would be if, she made that the title, like the rules of a bad bitch. I'm like, I wonder how that would have been. And each chapter was a different rule of how to better yourself, basically. And she told a little bit of her story in each individual chapter. And I was like, well, that's very interesting. So I kind of took that on the chin, but I didn't think too much of it. And then there was this one YouTuber. Her name is Dajay Keys. And I actually still watch her to this day. She does a bunch of girl talks and stuff on her Instagram and different things like that. And so I was like, and one day when I was on her live, she was talking about, I don't remember what the exact thing that she was talking about was, but I remember it's always something along the lines of not letting, like, a man in specific be the one to tear you down, but rather, even if he does tear you down, she's basically talks about picking yourself back up. She doesn't give you the tools to do it, but she motivates you to want to get those tools. And one day she had said, no one can make me feel like I'm the side, the rest, because I'm a big boss. And I was like, big boss, I like that. So I was like, oh. And so I had typed in her comments, and I was like, do you mind if I use, like, big boss in the title? And she's like, yeah, sure, go ahead, I don't care. And so I actually talked to her a few times, actually. And she was like, make sure that you send me the book whenever it comes out or anything like that. I support you fully. And so I was like, all right, cool. And so
So you turned
that's
these lessons into a
yeah,
more relatable book for a younger audience.
yes.
Yeah. So
And I just mix the two together.
So I think that that's important too, from an author perspective. You never know where you're going to find inspiration, and
Right.
most people probably wouldn't consider the Amber Rose, especially. So,
Yeah.
but starting there, most people probably wouldn't consider that piece. So that's, I think, again, that's really cool too, that you found that inspiration under the layers of whatever she was. I haven't read that book, but now I'm just like, is that something I may want to
It's
read?
actually a really good book. I actually recommend
I
it.
may have to go check it out. But okay, so now we know about the rules of the big boss. So now you have a new book. So how many books have you published so far?
So we have, I kind of have to list them out. So we have The Rules of a Little Boss, which is my first children's book. Then we have The Rules of a Big Boss, which is my first book. Then we have The Unexpected Journey, Fire and Gold, which is written by my dad. Then we have the it just slipped my mind, but it's a book about it has Christmas, and I can't remember the title off the top of my head right now. I have a million and one thoughts right now.
Your dad is
And then we have
agreement.
then we have Dear Daughter. And the Christmas lesson, that's what it's called, the Christmas lesson. So the Christmas lesson, then we have Dear Daughter. And then I also co-authored, I didn't publish this one, but I co-authored this one. So it's on my website and different things like that. And it's called Don't Ruin the Life of a Party with Shanique Davis. And my dad is also in that one too. So those are the books that we have published. So I believe that's how many? 5, 6. And the new book that we have coming out is actually called Everyday Heroes. And
Girls, okay.
so basically what Everyday Heroes is about is it's a story of me. So I'm basically like a teacher. And I'm a teacher at this school called Casa Esperanza Montessori Charter Academy.
And that's a real
And
school.
yeah, that's a real school. It's
Where
based in
is it?
Raleigh.
Where is it in Raleigh? It's based in Raleigh.
Yes.
So shout out to Casa Esperanza.
So basically, when I'm a teacher there, and not actually, but in the book, I'm a
In the
teacher
book,
there.
yeah. In the story.
And so basically, to make a long story short, we were invited for Read Across America Week at Casa Esperanza, maybe in 2021, I would say. It's been a few years. And I've been going there every year or so and reading to the classes at the school and different things like that. And so eventually, not too long ago, earlier this year, me and my dad, we had wrote up a little manuscript. And by me and my dad, I mean me. He just kind of gave me a little bit of inspiration. And so I started writing, like, I would say, like a pretty like generic manuscript. And basically what I mean by generic manuscript, and basically what I mean by that is it's just a two people story. So it's just me and my dad. So my dad is my hero, and that's why I'm calling it like Everyday Heroes, because your hero doesn't have to be someone who wears a cape or anything like that. And that's the whole centroid of the book, is it doesn't have to be someone who wears a cape. It can be someone who's close to you and someone who does something beneficial for your life. So it started off as a two-person story, and then we brought it to like the person who kind of manages the classes and Read Across America. And we brought it to her. We brought the manuscript to her, and we were like, hey, we want to include Casa in this. How can we go about this? And then eventually we read it to like the fifth graders of Casa, and we read the manuscript, and then we asked them like, okay, who should be the characters in the book? Which direction should we take it in? So they were basically like the creative editors of the book. So they gave us like the different characters, because all the characters are the people who helped us write the book. So they do have a little bit of specific names as well, and a specific character, like the way that they look, because it's based off of the people
Real
who were
people.
in. Yeah,
Right.
it's
But
based
in
off.
the book, in the book, even though you were inspired by Casa Esperanza, in the book, the name of the school is Castle Elementary, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So um So they were like the creative editors of it, and then eventually we decided to go in the direction of, okay, let me be a teacher here, because it's kind of like the setting we're in now. Like, I'm reading this to you, I'm asking you, like, basically I'm asking you to use your ELA skills right now.
Mhm.
And so we were like, oh yeah, I could be like the teacher, y'all can be the students, and then we can transfer it into like a two-person story with me and my dad, saying why he's my hero, and then at the end of the story bring it all together into the main into the main idea and the main point.
Oh, so we have a question. Oh, so you said the teacher's name is you, and then definitely a blessing to have friends that will be honest with you. Yes, I'm just checking back because I just saw
Yeah.
the comments pop up. So I think that this is great. How did the students that participated in the process feel after you had told them that all their thoughts and ideas were going to be incorporated into the book?
Honestly, like, they were very like shocked, because it's like sometimes I forget what it was like to be in elementary school, because I'm like, they got excited by this. I'm like, there's a lot of other stuff that I would be more excited about. I'll still be like, oh, that's cool, but it's more stuff that I would personally be excited about, because like I'm older, so I'm like, oh, car, really? Wow. But they're really excited about this, and I'm like, wow, like seeing the shock on their faces, I was like, really, that shocks
The
you? Like,
world is bigger, right? When you're younger,
yeah.
the world is bigger and you see these things, especially if you think about media and people on TV and
Mhm.
stuff like that. That's not necessarily someone that people can reach out and touch and talk to.
Mhm.
So the same thing for being a author of a book. Like, you wrote this thing that's going to be
Mhm.
distributed around the world. So of
Right.
course they're thinking like, oh my God, this is a big thing. I think that as we move forward and we work with children, we have to keep that in mind, because the things
Right.
that we say and we deliver impact them in a different way. And you want to make sure you also don't short yourself when you're delivering
Right.
or including them, right?
Right.
Somebody's going to have in that group is going to have this memory later on that says, I met this author, she took the time to talk to us, and now there's this product where we will forever be immortalized because she thought that what we had to say was important enough to include. So
Right.
kudos to you all for having the idea and
Thank
bringing
you.
them in. I know we talked before this, and you said that the idea was to have those fifth graders pass down the book to the
Yeah.
fourth graders to encourage them to think about who their everyday heroes are. And so you can keep this thought of the everyday people in your life that inspire you, that love you, that do,
Mhm.
these great things for you, being your heroes. It doesn't have to be like a celebrity or someone in sports, but it can be someone that's closer to you. So I think that's fantastic. Let me ask you this, because I think we're almost towards the end of our time, but I want to make sure you have an opportunity to also share about some of your other endeavors. Um, you are going to be starting a mentoring program, coaching program. So
Yes.
tell folks a little bit about that.
So basically, what the coaching and the whole mentorship thing is, basically what we're going to be talking about is a various topics. Each week, I'll basically have a new topic, and such as maybe relationships, like relationship problems, inner work. Solely that week will be solely based on inner work, and then I'll assign inner work, like different journal prompts or different things to do, like somatic shaking, um, grounding, such as, like planting your feet, like on the ground, like wherever you go, like, different things like that, intentionality. So we'll be talking about a bunch of various different topics, as well as, marketing, so more spiritual things, quote unquote, and then also we'll be talking about more practical things, such as how to start your own business, marketing, where you can, learn to write your own book, how I can help you learn to write your own book, because that is a service that I offer, is, editing and book reviews and different things like that. How you can, like find angel investors, how you can connect with nonprofits. Basically, we'll be talking about a bunch of various topics, or that are specifically catered and created to mold and kind of bring them to where they want to be. So it's like, okay, you want to be an entrepreneur. Okay, well, what do you want to do? So how do you want to reach these people? Who is your target audience? How do you plan on going about this? Do you need any funding for this? So a bunch of different topics, because we also are going to talk about financial literacy in business and in general, so personal as well. So that will be available on my website, which is the rules of a big boss, which is therulesofabigboss.com. And if you scroll to the bottom of the page, it'll say like a contact us. So if you're interested in this mentorship, then you can, you can put your email in there, and then we're able to email you once we get that up and running. I'm planning to get that up and running sometime around June 30th or so. And also, if you go under the contact us form, it will also bring you kind of to the same type of thing. So it's like a more intake thing, so that we kind of know how many people are going to be in the Zoom, how many people that am I going to need to talk to, potentially am I going to need to talk to people one-on-one, different things like that.
And so for the mentoring, you're targeting other teens? Is there a certain age group?
Yes. So the age group is, I would say, like, I want to keep it at high school age, because a lot of the different principles like that I talk about, like, you could cater it towards a middle schooler, but it'll kind of be harder because it's like I wouldn't say their mind is like narrow, but it's like they're able to see from a certain perspective. So I would say like,
Experience.
yeah, so I would say high school age all the way up until college age, because that's like my main audience. So which is why I'm also going to keep the pricing pretty cheap, because I'm like,
Mhm.
shoot, I don't have money like that either. So it's like,
So,
I know.
so with regards to the mentorship, so a lot of times when people go to get mentoring, they want to know why they should choose a certain mentor.
Mhm.
So if you had to really sell people on, like, I am the best mentor, what would you tell them? Why are you the best mentor for them?
So I'm really big on listening to the body and listening to the intuition. So those are like my two sources of being. Like before I do anything with my business, I always ask, okay, close my eyes. I ask myself, how does this feel? Like, does this feel good? Do I feel kind of weird about it? And that prevents me from making like any negative or decisions that aren't going to make me comfortable in the future, by being aware in the moment before I make a decision. So since considering that I'm really big on that, you can very much feel someone's energy through a screen, because it's like, okay, I like their energy. Do I want to collaborate with this energy? And then I would also ask myself, is this the energy that I want to learn to encompass and times it by 10 or whatever? Is this the type of person who is like, quote unquote, above me? Like they've been where I want to go. They've done what I want to do. Okay, so since they're basically like up here, they did everything that I want to do. How can I bring myself up to where they are? So what I would personally say is ask yourself, like, is where I am and what I'm doing, does that align with what you want to do and with where you want to go? And then also like my energy, what is my energy like? And does that fit yours?
I want to make sure that we highlight the fact that the things that you are teaching are things that you have done.
Right.
That's very important. So you're not just the average person off the street saying, hey, let me mentor you, but these are things that you have done and you've been successful with.
Right.
So yeah, shout out to everyone who may be interested in looking for a mentoring program for their teens in high school. Check out Haelee and see what she got going on. And you said that it starts at the end of the month, right?
Yes, sometime around June 30th.
Okay, and then also for your book, the new book that's coming out,
Yeah.
pre-sale starts on Father's Day,
Yep,
this
June
coming
16th.
Sunday, and it releases on the 30th too.
Yes. So we'll
So
have like two different releases
yeah,
that
so
day.
the end of June is going to be a banger for you headed into
Most
July.
definitely.
So you all make sure you go out and support. Haelee, we're going to wrap up, but is there a message that you just want to share out to everyone, whether it be teens or younger kids or even adults, with
Mhm.
regards to how you operate your business, your books? Is there any last messaging that you want to share out?
So I'm gonna leave like this little nugget to kind of make you be like, ooh, what's she talking about in the mentorship program? So one of the things that we're gonna be talking about is financial literacy. So what I'm going to end off with is learn about financial literacy as much as you can. If you're above the age of 18, you're going to want to open a business account. If you're under the age of 18, you're going to want to learn about putting, like, if you have a job or whatever, however you make your money, you're going to want to put a percentage away into a savings account, because you can't have a savings account, but you can't have a business account. So you can put some money away into this savings account, and then you can use that in turn to invest in your business, whatever you need to do, whether you need to buy products, technology, or whatever you need to purchase, you're going to want to put money away. And that's just for the whole business aspect. I could go on and on and on about that, but I am definitely going to say it's really important to put money away, at least, like, maybe depending on how much you make, whether it's $30, maybe maybe it could be $5, maybe $10, because that money is going to
Yeah.
build. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that nugget. I look forward to hearing how your mentoring program does. And we will add your contact information when we finalize the posting for this. I'll probably have to go back and edit it a little bit, but it will be there. So I want to thank you for joining me this evening. And I know you also, we didn't get a chance to talk about this, but I know there's a poetry book in your future as well. So when you get to that point, I hope you come back and talk to us about that. And we will continue to watch you grow and glow into the future. And we didn't mention this, but you are a rising senior. So you are in high school, you're at the end of high school, soon you'll be going to college, and you have already accomplished so much. So I hope you are very, very proud of yourself.
Thank you, most definitely.
You're welcome. Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I hope you enjoyed hearing Haelee talk about her life adventure so far. I hope you check out her book. I also hope you check out my book. Any book, keep reading. The summer slide is near. So those of you who have kids, whether they're yours or somebody else's, invest in a book and give it to them. Also math. I know you mentioned financial literacy, but math for this summer is one of the things that kids slide back on. So make sure you're investing in those areas to keep your kids up to date and ready to move to the next grade. I hope you all have a fantastic evening, and we will see you next week with our next guest. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.